So think about it for a second. Most of us learned about love and relationships from watching romantic comedies, observing our parents, or honestly, just pure guesswork. We kind of sit around waiting for that movie magic and hope for the best. But what does a healthy relationship actually look like when you strip away the Hollywood script and all those cultural myths? Well, it turns out you don't actually have to guess. 91%. Honestly, that number just blows my mind. In a famous observational study at what's known as the Love Lab, relationship researcher John Gottman observed couples having a conflict discussion for literally just 15 minutes. And from those brief 15 minutes alone, he could predict whether that couple would end up divorced with 91% accuracy. That is staggering. It tells us that relationship success isn't just random luck, it's an actual science.
So, welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to look closely at the science of relationships from autopsy to blueprint. Okay, let's dive right into this and look at the actual psychological frameworks that dictate why some couples thrive while others predictably fall apart.
Here is our quick roadmap for this explainer. We'll hit 1. The science of love. 2. Foundation, secure attachment. 3. The four horsemen. 4. The magic 5-to-1 ratio. 5. Daily bids for connection. And 6. Balancing self and us.
All right, first up, the science of love.
We are officially moving away from feelings-based cultural myths and stepping right into hard, observable relationship science. Because, psychology has literally spent decades rigorously studying what makes relationships work. To bring you this explainer, we're combining John Gottman's groundbreaking observational work, the principles of attachment theory, and communication science. These findings will probably surprise you because what genuinely healthy relationships look like in practice is often really different from what we're traditionally taught to expect.
Moving on to part 2, foundation, secure attachment.
Look, before we even look at how couples fight or communicate, we absolutely have to look at the ground they stand on. Secure attachment is the absolute bedrock of any successful relationship. It's really about feeling safe enough to be vulnerable, to express your needs openly, and crucially, having the trust that your partner is actually going to respond to those needs. If you don't have this psychological safety, everything else we're about to discuss becomes incredibly difficult to implement. It's the foundation that allows the whole shebang to function properly.
Okay, section 3. The four horsemen.
You can kind of think of this part of the explainer as the autopsy. We need to explore the specific toxins that reliably destroy romantic connections over time. Dr. Gottman identified 4 communication patterns that are the absolute most predictive behaviors of relationship breakdown. He notoriously called them the four horsemen, and they are criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. When these 4 behaviors take up permanent residence in how a couple communicates, the data strongly suggests that the relationship is headed for failure.
Now, what's really interesting here is the critical, tangible difference between attacking someone's character and simply stating a need. Look, everyone has complaints in a relationship. That's completely normal. A complaint targets a specific behavior, like, the dishes haven't been done and I need help. But criticism, the first horseman, attacks your partner's core character. Saying, you never do dishes implies a permanent, selfish flaw in who they are. It's a subtle linguistic shift for sure, but it has massive psychological consequences.
And that brings us to the most dangerous horseman of all, contempt. Contempt is defined as treating your partner as if they're fundamentally inferior to you. It shows up in body language, eye rolling, or verbally through mocking and mean-spirited sarcasm. According to the research, contempt is the ultimate relationship toxin and the single strongest predictor of divorce. It signals disgust, and honestly, it is nearly impossible to resolve a conflict when someone feels despised by their partner.
So the crucial point is that this emotional toxicity doesn't just hurt your feelings, it actually harms your physical body. Get this. Here is a truly surprising biological fact. Research shows that people in contemptuous marriages actually have suppressed immune systems. Being chronically exposed to a partner's contempt literally makes you more likely to get sick. The mind-body connection here underscores just how vital healthy communication actually is.
All right, section 4, the magic 5-to-1 ratio.
Let's release some of that tension, right? We're pivoting from the autopsy to the blueprint. This is the scientific antidote to relationship failure, and it's Gottman's golden rule. The magic ratio is 5-to-1. His research consistently found that stable, happy relationships maintain at least 5 positive interactions for every 1 negative interaction. And here is the truly fascinating part. That ratio holds up even during a conflict. Healthy couples are still injecting a joke, a moment of affection, or verbal validation right into the middle of their arguments to maintain that positive balance.
So what does this actually do? Well, when couples consistently maintain that 5-to-1 ratio, they build up an interpretive lens called positive sentiment override. This means that when a partner does something ambiguous, like sighing loudly in the kitchen, you view it charitably. You assume, oh, they must have had a hard day at work. But if you're in negative sentiment override from a history of toxic interactions, that exact same sigh is interpreted negatively. You think, oh great, they're sighing because they're annoyed with me again. Building that positive emotional reserve completely dictates how you view your shared reality.
And this leads us to a pretty profound realization about fighting. Conflict is inevitable, but the ability to make rapid repair attempts, like making a quick joke, offering a sincere apology, or just a gentle touch to de-escalate tension, that is more predictive of relationship health than not fighting at all. Think about a real-world couple that argues frequently but repairs the connection quickly. They are statistically much healthier than a couple that rarely argues but silently builds up a wall of resentment. It's really not about avoiding the fight, it's about your ability to hit the brakes and repair the connection.
Moving into Section 5, Daily Bids for Connection. We're zooming in now on the micro habits of relationships, focusing on how partners interact in totally mundane, everyday moments. Throughout the day, partners make these small emotional bids for connection. It could be pointing out a funny dog across the street or just sighing over a frustrating email. And this data brilliantly illustrates the stakes here. In failing marriages, partners turned towards these bids, meaning they actually responded or engaged, only 19% of the time. In stable, happy marriages, they turned towards their partner a massive 87% of the time. Habitually acknowledging those tiny bids is exactly how you build lasting intimacy.
Of course, how we bid for connection and how we want to receive it can vary wildly. While not a formal psychological theory, Gary Chapman's Love Languages framework offers an incredibly practical, everyday lens for this. Whether you prefer words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, or physical touch, understanding these categories helps you resolve mismatched emotional needs. It ensures that when you make or respond to those daily bids, you're actually speaking a language your partner understands.
Finally, Section 6, Balancing Self and Us. If daily bids are the micro level, this looks at the macro level balance required for long-term stability. We rely heavily here on psychologist Murray Bowen's concept of differentiation. It's basically the capacity to maintain a clear sense of self while in close emotional contact with another person. It means healthy love actually requires individuality. We often assume that emotional distance is the greatest threat to a relationship, but enmeshment, where you completely lose your own distinct identity in the relationship, is equally damaging. The foundation of non-anxious love is being two distinct selves who choose to form a healthy us. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this provocative truth. Conflict is inevitable, but contempt is entirely optional. Every single couple argues, but how you argue determines whether that conflict destroys your foundation or actually deepens your understanding of one another. The relationships in your life shape your mental and physical well-being more than almost anything else. So, how will you shape your connections going forward? If you found this breakdown valuable and want to keep exploring the science of human connection, make sure you subscribe. We decode the research to bring you clear, data-driven explainers every single week. Keep learning, and I'll catch you in